Good evening and welcome to our Smyrna Town Council workshop in November to set our agenda for December. Tonight, Mark Adkins will do our prayer and Girl Scout Troop 2171 will do our pledge. If you'll all stand with us, please.
Let's bow. Lord, we just come to you this afternoon, Lord, with just grateful hearts. We know that this is the time of the year that a lot of people will tend to focus on what their gratitudes are. As Thanksgiving approaches us, Father, let us be mindful that just the air we breathe and the things that we own and say and do are blessings from you. Let us continue to show our appreciation and let us continue to be blessed by you. Father, we also say a prayer for those that serve our town, that protect our town, that go out and do the hard work to make this town what it is. Father, I pray for this council, their discernment, their leadership, and the decisions they have to make. Most of all, Father, I pray for our citizens tonight, that they enjoy a very celebratory Thanksgiving with their families and loved ones if they can. And Father, just continue to remind us that everything we have comes from you and that we are blessed. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mark. If our Girl Scout Troop 2171 will come forward. So glad you all could make it. I'm going to let you stand right there and face that way. And that way everybody on TV is going to be able to see you. So I want to tell you a little bit about this troop. They have met in Smyrna for the last 5 years. They have been focused on community service projects using cookie money to help pause and to purchase items for food banks. And this was all the girls' idea and choice. And they have had 2 girls attain their silver awards, Olivia Palmer and Ruby Barbieri. And 4 girls have attained their bronze awards, Brooke Nichols, Noe, right? Is that? Do we go by Noe Johnson, Elizabeth Johnson, and Emily Palmer. Achieving a Girl Scout Bronze Award means a junior Girl Scout, 4th or 5th grade, has completed a major community service project that identifies and addresses a root cause of a local issue. It is the highest award a junior can earn and requires a minimum of 20 hours to complete a take action project that involves planning and implementing a solution with a team of fellow Girl Scouts. The project focuses on making a lasting, sustainable impact rather than just completing a one-time service activity. Achieving the Girl Scout Silver Award means a cadet, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, has completed a leadership project that addresses an issue she cares about and requires a minimum of 50 hours and has a lasting impact on the community. It is the highest honor a cadet can earn, and it demonstrates organizational and leadership skills through a self-designed project. So, on behalf of myself and the town council, we'd like to thank you all for being here tonight, but we'd also like to provide you with a certificate. Olivia, okay, and Ruby, there you go. Noe, there you go, and Emily. So thank you for everything that you're doing here in the town to help make it a better place. We appreciate you. And I have to tell you, you all have done so much better than I did. I never got past the brownies. So let's give them, what? Still haven't, that's right. Let's give them all a huge round of applause. And I'm going to let y'all move down a little bit. And council, if you'd like to join us in a photo. You tell us where we need to be. On down more? Okay. Is that good? It's perfect. And y'all, you're welcome to come up front if you want to make a photo as well.
You good back there? I'm good.
Good. Thank you all so much.
No, I did.
Public comment period, the town's public comment period.
Chief Goss has some
Yes,
recognition
I'm sorry.
that he's going to do.
Yes, recognition of the Smyrna Fire Department personnel. I should have known with the fire department sitting on the front row. I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
Good timing, Al.
Mayor and council, this is one of the fun things we get to do is to recognize our folks for some outstanding work. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Daniel Euthus, Wesley Woodard, and Allison Swope. As you may have read on social media, these three firefighters were recently recognized by TriStar Stonecrest Medical Center for the exceptional pre-hospital care of a micro-preemie born at home just under 22 weeks gestation. According to Stonecrest Physicians and Care Partners, and this is a quote, "The professionalism, clinical expertise, and swift life-saving actions of these firefighters, along with Rutherford County EMS personnel, not only resulted in the infant's survival, but has enabled the baby to continue thriving." Surviving birth at just shy of 22 weeks is nothing short of remarkable. To put that into perspective, the Guinness World Record lists the earliest surviving premature birth at 21 weeks, just days earlier than our case here in Smyrna. However, according to EMS Director Brian Gaither, we believe this is a Tennessee state record for survivability of a premature infant. So on behalf of myself, the Smyrna Fire Department, and the town, I just wanted to recognize the extraordinary actions of these individuals, actions that will be forever part of our story and, of course, a part of this child's story as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
We would like to say thank you for everything that you do day in and day out. I think this is a story that is a perfect example of why we've chosen to get into the medical part of within the fire department. So thank you for what you do. You all represent our town day in and day out and are with individuals when it's not the best day of their life. This is such a huge, exciting story. So we appreciate you. Council, anything? Miss Heather, if we stand up and they come up here, can you get a picture of us, please? Yeah. Okay, Heather's gonna make you move down. Yeah, she'll. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're ready to move on. Y'all are welcome to stay if you'd like to stay, but you don't have to if you choose not to. So I'll leave that up to you. Bye. Yes, I did. Yeah. Okay, under public comment, the town's public comment period shall be reserved for those citizens that have signed up to address the town council or board or committee at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting pursuant to the town's public comment policy. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and additional comments may be submitted in writing. Amber, any public comments tonight?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
We'll now move on to our items for discussion. Items 1 through 13 are proposed consent agenda items. Council and directors, we try to get questions answered at this meeting or between now and our council meeting, so we can move that meeting along. So make sure that if we have any questions, you try to get those answered tonight. Our first one is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a professional design services agreement with Kimberly Horn for the improvements at the Rotary Soccer Park. Mike?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is one of the budget items we talked about at retreat last year, and it is an agreement with Kimberly Horn. They're fairly well known in the Parks and Recreation world and design world. And we opened 5 proposals for the soccer improvements on September 30th. The evaluation committee consisted of Tom Rose, Jimmy Stitt, and myself. Kimberly Horn received the highest score, and there was 5 strong proposals. If you look at the scoring, you could tell that. Lowe's Design was a close second, and they were strong as well. But Kimley Horn was the highest score, so we started working with them. The primary goal of the project are to convert 2 natural grass fields to synthetic turf and also to expand the parking. Scope of work also includes design of sports lighting upgrades, shade structures, developing a championship-style field with accessible bleachers and sidewalks, and a structure over the picnic area, and replacement of the playground equipment. I do want to define championship field style. We're not looking to build a stadium. It's more just a place to have the championship games, or if we need to host something a little bit more than bringing your chairs, it would be bleachers and ADA access, possibly a small press box similar to what Siegel Park has. They will also be looking at the stormwater improvements if needed and doing a study on that, and then looking at traffic flow. Right now, there's one way in, one way out. Luckily, Tom and his team work with us on the red lights at the end of Mayfield, each end of Mayfield when needed, when we have tournaments, and really every Saturday is tournament style, and practices are as well. This is in our capital improvement budget, and the agreement cost us $149,900. And we're just looking for, to get this on the council agenda to be considered. I think the one thing that is a good sign for us, the league is growing. We kind of handle the North Rutherford side of soccer, but since the town does own the property, I think we have a good chance for some grant opportunities down the road, and Kimley Horn is good at helping and assisting with that.
Questions for Mike on this?
Mike, are you keeping good ongoing relationship with the league and interfacing with them on
Yes, sir.
what you'd like to have?
Yes, sir. And we're going to talk to them about some funding opportunities, but we met with them last 2 years, but some of this came from a meeting we had with them on site 2 years ago. The pedestrian access from the fields all the way to fields 6 and 7. Parking lot lighting we don't have parking lot lighting over there. You get some spill light from the sports lighting. So we've been trying to help them. I think we all like natural grass as far as playability, but I think we're also missing out on some nights we could be practicing and some year-round play because of we don't have synthetic turf, and some of the programs around us do. And I feel like we're a little bit left behind there. And I'd like to give us opportunity to finish some of our tournaments that we have to call, or practice at night when we have to call it due to wet grounds. So the fields that we have selected are fields 1 and 2 because they don't flood. But if design moved into like field 3 area near the concession or something like that, we would definitely consider that. But to answer your question, we feel like we have a good relationship with the club, and they do a good job. It's a tough job, but they do a good job.
I have a question, Mike.
Yes, sir.
You talked about stormwater improvements.
Yes, sir.
I know there's been a lot of discussion in the past about, the detention basin.
Yes,
And
sir.
I think the exhibit shows the additional parking, which, if I recall, is at the detention pond kind of overflow there adjacent to it.
That's kind of a multi-purpose field
Okay.
there. And we figure if we end up having to take some of that, then we're going to need capacity. That's basically a field that people go out there just to play. So we're hoping to, if we move some park in that area, to be able to allow the public on the synthetic turf fields, because they can take it. And that's one thing that I'm glad you brought that up. But one thing we're really not able to do right now is allow a whole lot of rented fields for the public, and we would like to do that because we get a lot of calls. But to answer your question, that's a multi-purpose field that we've kind of maintained for just general play.
So there won't be a major stormwater project?
I
just-
hope not, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why they want to study it first,
Okay.
and obviously we'll work with Tom. That is kind of the basin for that whole area, so that's why we put that in there, is we didn't want to, we sure don't want to make anything worse, but if there's a way to improve it, I think we need to look at that, and just for everyone,
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good questions.
I know soccer is a sport that continues to grow, and
Yes, ma'am.
obviously with the World Cup coming, it's probably going to do even more. Are we already past needing to look at more soccer fields somewhere else, since we are pretty much landlocked there, or do we feel like we're still in pretty good shape with what we have there?
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for the question. I think we do need to be looking for some places for additional
fields. I also think we need to maximize what we have. One thing that we're considering besides the Rotary Soccer Park, is our football fields over at Lee Victory Park. We basically, because of being natural turf, we use those on the weekends for football, and we use it for flag football. Infrastructure's there, lighting's there. It's one of our main parks. If we converted to turf there or something stronger, we could maximize those fields before adding other fields somewhere and having to maintain that or build it. So that's kind of where we're headed, looking at some of the things we can maximize with existing infrastructure. That being said, I still think we're going to need that, the capacity. It's growing exponentially in North Rutherford County for us.
Well, and I know at Park Board, just so council knows, it's kind of been kicked around before, but at some point with all of our leagues, do we end up having to look at who is a resident and who isn't? And how many non-residents are we serving in our leagues before we build more facilities? So it is something that we've had discussion about at Parks Board, so,
For the last 25 years.
correct, correct.
True
Okay,
there.
any other questions for Mike? Okay, we'll move on to item 2, which is the approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Mimecast for email security services and support.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Currently, we're using a product called Barracuda for email filtering. That product has some limitations, and this new tool will allow us to really better service our needs. Mayor, I send you a list of quarantined emails. This is a system that we can allow you to go in and look at those ongoing, as well as it has some additional AI features that should help clean up some of the junk that comes through still that we're getting through our email filtering system currently. The cost is already budgeted in our operational budget. The cost of this tool is slightly higher than the one I'm replacing it with, but again, it has more features and functions and will serve us better. But we can absorb it within the budget we've already got planned.
Questions for Carl? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 3 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Strategic Vision Advisory Group relative to the audit of hotel motel taxes. Sierra?
Good evening. So this organization is the one that we usually use. It's usually under the name MG Group. We audit hotels every 3 to 5 years. We actually budgeted for it in FY25, but couldn't get it off the ground with the county. So that's why it's not budgeted in FY26. But we actually anticipate that it will pay for itself. The last time we did it in 2017, this group found an additional $28,000 that we were owed, and in 2020 they found $55,000. We've got more hotels than we did in 2020, so we think that this would continue to be a good thing for us to investigate.
Questions for Sierra on the audit?
Yeah, so basically the audit is finding more hotel rooms have been rented.
Yeah. So there's a whole form Jenny sends
Okay.
out to the different hotels, and then they pay based off their own calculations. So this group goes in and does a deeper dive, and usually they divide it up between material mistakes and immaterial mistakes. And I think half the hotels last time had material mistakes. So.
Other questions? Okay, we will put that on the agenda. Item 4 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute agreements relative to the purchase of loose equipment for aerial ladder 76.
Yes, Mayor, this is a budget item in our CIP for the current year to equip a new ladder truck that is scheduled to be delivered in April. That was ordered, I believe, in 2022. You may all remember that. Takes a while. But now we are looking to equip that when it comes in. And we sent out a bid document. We had 6 vendors submit bids. We went through those individual vendors, and rather than select a vendor, we actually selected the low bid for each item from each vendor to try to maximize the efficiency of the bid. So the total equipment cost under ladder 76 is $104,791.73, and the amount budgeted in the CIP is $150,000.
Questions on this? Item 5 is similar. It's the approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute agreements relative to the purchase of loose equipment for Rescue 1.
Yeah, basically same story, same process. 4 vendors solicited bids, and the total cost for the equipment from those 4 vendors is $199,351, $1,299 out of a $200,000 CIP line item.
Questions on this?
These trucks are due to come in when?
Ladder 76 is due April, and the rescue around August.
I know in the past, we've had some equipment that has been out of service for as long as a year because of parts not being available or companies that have gone out of business. Are we still having that same issue?
No.
Okay.
No, we will transfer what equipment we can from the apparatus that we're taking out of service or rolling down to reserve. And that's why we want to get a jump start months ahead of time in ordering this equipment so it's ready to equip when they get here, to
Okay.
minimize that out of service time.
Okay. Questions for Chief? We also kind of put, a couple of years ago, an equipment rotation in regards to apparatus in place. You weren't here when we did that. Have you looked over that and you feel pretty comfortable that we're going to stay in a rhythm for what we're needing?
Yes, we're actually in really, I was pleasantly surprised, we're in good shape with our apparatus orders, and you'll be seeing a little bit broader picture of that come budget discussions this year, given the 3 and 4 year build times. But no, we're in remarkably good shape
Okay,
considering.
great. Okay, item 6 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal with Cigna Healthcare for third-party administrator network services for employee health insurance plan. Jeff?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We've got our annual health insurance renewal. Is with Cigna Healthcare. We've been with Cigna for quite some time. They are our third-party administrator, so they handle all the processing of our claims, as well as providing us with stop-loss insurance and access to their network. So the renewal this year is relatively flat for most of the fixed cost. As you hear me say almost every year I come in here, we're getting a small increase on the stop-loss coverage. So we're getting a 12.5% increase on the stop-loss premium and an 8.4% increase on the aggregate stop-loss premium. So that the expected amount annualized is about $252,000. We do expect most of that to be offset by increased rebates that we're getting on pharmacy. So it's a pretty good renewal. Our claims are running at about a 4% trend, which is really good compared to the nation, which is closer to 5 to 9%. So doing really well on that front overall.
Questions for Jeff? What's our percentage of people that are on the HSA plan versus the other, would you say?
So we're doing enrollment right now, but
Right.
before enrollment started, we were at about 53% on the HSA plan. So the HSA plan in the last year has become the more popular plan for the first time since inception. So that's pretty cool.
Is there a way to better educate so people might see that might be the better option for them? Do you think? I mean, do you think that's why we have ones that are not going to that plan?
Change, I think, is still the biggest thing is people just don't like change, and the other plan is a great plan too. And so I think most of those people just, they like being on that plan.
Okay.
We see most of our new hires taking the HSA, and every year that we work with people and talk to people about their individual situations, we're kind of moving people in that direction as well. So I think that's going to continue to be the trend of the more popular plan going forward.
Do you think doing an internal, almost PSA would be beneficial?
Yeah, we can do some more of that. I don't
Okay.
mind doing that.
Yeah, that may be something that we look at, just to educate.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's going to take it, but hopefully we can educate them.
We'd like to do that.
Anything else for Jeff?
Just, if I could, Jeff, could you just kind of speak to what we're also exploring as it relates to the plan to expand the options within each one?
Yes. So what we're looking to do in the future, not in January, but probably in subsequent years, is moving from just an individual and family premiums to individual employee plus one, employee plus two, or employee plus spouse, and then family coverages. So the rates will change a little bit to kind of more evenly break that out as opposed to just individual and family. We'll have some stuff in between as well.
Great. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Item 7 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with TK Elevator Corporation for the labor associated with the modernization of the elevator at the water treatment plant. Mike?
Hey, how are you?
Great.
So the elevator at the plant's about 30 years old, and it's way past time to upgrade. This is a capital budget item that was approved in the capital budget. It's going through Omni Partners, which is a cooperative purchasing agreement. The labor part is not covered under Omni. So finance said you have to go and get approval for the labor part. So TK Elevator will do it all. There's some construction modifications, electrical and HVAC stuff that has to bring it up to code. So that's what this is.
Questions for Mike on the upgrade to the elevator? Okay, we'll move on to item 8, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 2 with Hawkins and Price relative to the Front Street water final adjusting.
Yes, ma'am. This is the final adjusting number for Front Street. These changes were made throughout the project. If you'll remember back, I think this was bid 2 or 3 times through Public Works. We ended up getting Hawkins and Price, who was finishing up North Lowry, to give us pricing, line item pricing. So this is the final change order to correct that up. Even with this change order, we're saved somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.2 million doing it this way.
Right. Questions for Mike on this? This may be a Charles or Tom question. Is there anything else left on Front Street that needs to be completed? I know the raised crosswalks have to.
Yeah, we are working on raised crosswalks right now. I think there have been 4 of them completed. I think there's a total of 11 to do. 3 of them are gonna be a little more specialized, so there are gonna be speed tables going through there. Most likely with some electrical and lighting in it, so we're gonna be working on the others that are just flat ones right now, but it's gonna take the next few months, because we're trying to not just get in there and shut the whole road system down. We're trying to do like 1 or 2 at a time.
Okay. Questions for Tom? Thank you. Item 9 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute addendum 1 for design and right-of-way services for the Lowry Street Phase 3 sidewalk connection project. Tom?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Council. So we recently completed the NEPA portion of the project. We went back to Reagan Smith, and they submitted a contract to us, a contract extension, to do the design and right-of-way phase of this project. It is a TDOT local funded project through a multimodal access grant.
Question for Tom on this?
And where will the sidewalks be from and to, Tom?
They'll be going from the intersection here at Enid Springs and Lowry Street, along Lowry Street, just on the, what you might call the east side of Lowry, where the Hardy side and Windy side, up to Sam Davis Road.
Other questions? Just heads up for you and for Kevin and for Charles. In our MPO meeting the other day, Jay Norris was adamant that if we have any issues with local programs, that we feel like something's stalled somewhere, we need to get in touch with him, that he can kind of help push that along. So I thought that was good news to hear. So with that said, where are we with the Florence Road sidewalk?
We're in right-of-way phase right now. We're working with getting, the negotiators working with the property owners to get everything signed, and then to legal department. Once that happens, and we'll send it to Rutherford County to get those easements officially signed off on.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Well, question. How far away are we from having sidewalks on Lowry Street from Enid Springs to
Sam Davis?
Sam Davis?
Like I said, we're just now going to be entering design phase. That could typically might take about a year or so to get through that, so it's still going to be a while. Then there's right-of-way phase. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. It depends on how many property owners and how challenging it is to get for them to agree for any easements. Any easements that we would have to get would be temporary construction easements because of slope issues.
Just kind of ask the question to make a point on how long it takes for projects such as this to move forward. I mean, we're talking sidewalks, and so roads take longer, and it's hard to take a calendar and put a pin on it and say, we're going to have it here.
Right.
And sometimes some projects like this all come together at the same time, and, we have projects which overlap.
Yeah.
You good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, item 10 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with ELI Engineering to perform engineering design services for a pedestrian crossing on Rock Springs Road near Montgomery Way and Paul Johns Park.
So as you know, there's on the south side of Rock Springs Road around Montgomery Way, there's significant residential on that side of the road. On the opposite side of Rock Springs Road is Paul Johns Park. We have a lot of pedestrians who try to make that crossing. There's currently a crosswalk there, and there is some signage and lighting indicating to motorists that there's a pedestrian crossing in that location. Unfortunately, we get repeated complaints and concerns from citizens who are trying to cross there. Cars don't pay attention to the crosswalk, so this is something that will provide a little more forewarning to motorists that there is a crosswalk there. It'd be kind of similar to maybe what you've seen in beach communities in Florida, where you see like a larger overhead gantry with flashing lights letting you know that you're supposed to stop if there's a pedestrian who's maybe hit the button and is in the crosswalk. This is be the design cost for ELI to put that together for us. Then we can go out to bid for construction.
Question for Charles on this one?
I'll answer for Charles, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sorry,
He's a handsome guy, so I see how you made that mistake.
sorry.
This was on the Safe Streets for All. Do you recall what priority that was?
I don't recall.
Okay. And then the other, I know there's been some, I've been contacted by citizens. The sight distance coming out of Montgomery Way as you get onto Rock Springs, will that be looked at as well with this pedestrian crossing here?
Yeah, and that's something we talked about. I talked about with the engineers on the initial evaluation, because there is a curvature to that road, and putting this at the appropriate location so that there is a good line of sight. If not, then what we can do is add some forewarning, kind of like with a traffic signal. If you're coming around a curve and you can't see the traffic signal ahead, there's warning lights ahead to tell you that the stop is, that it's a red light ahead.
I'm talking specifically coming out of Montgomery Way onto Rock Springs Road, because I think to the left, there's a monument sign and some landscaping where you can't really, the sight distance is impaired to the left there.
Yeah, I can look into that and see if there's any issues
while we're
with
there
that type of site
looking, right
condition.
now would be a good time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think it's the monument sign that's caused it,
I
or you
don't
think
know
it's
if
the
it's a
landscape?
monument sign or the landscaping, I can't
I
recall.
think it's a landscape, and I was through there the other day, and it's, and the curvature of the road, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
obviously, it's
Yeah.
both of them,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking that the fence there is just kind of in the way, too.
Okay.
Okay. Another area of town that I think at some point could use the same thing as this is the Morton Lane, the crosswalk to get to
Yes.
the park there. Mike, the one that we've
Yeah,
had
to Cedar
issue
Stone.
with. You know what I'm talking about?
To Cedar Stone to make that crossing.
And then, is it on down further? Is it on down it's the one that we've had the concern from citizens that are out there. Can you discuss with Tom at some point, the one that we're talking about?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll move on to item 11, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Tennessee Department of Transportation local programs for the Old Nashville Highway Sidewalk Project.
Thank you, Mayor Council. So originally, when we went to obtain this grant for the Old Nashville Highway Sidewalk Project, we're given $1,126,578. They have, since then, they have changed the contract amount to $1,349,634. That additional $223,056 is just currently being shown as local, 100% local funding on construction. But right now, we're in design phase on it. As we move closer to construction, it's an opportunity to talk to GNRC and see if we can get more of a split on that money.
Why was Crysler revoked?
It was a issue at the federal level where, because the money did come when it was Biden, in the Biden administration, the Trump administration, they changed it and removed that. I think, no, it was not. It's still under the Biden administration. They were, as a part of an agreement at the federal level to raise the debt ceiling, I think it was, that they revoked the CRISA grant, but then TDOT found money in different pockets for us to use.
So across the country, the CRISA grant was
Yes,
revoked.
it was.
Okay. Item 12 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute the contract proposal with Barge Design Solutions for survey, NEPA, environmental, and design for the intersection improvements at at State Route 266, Sam Ridley Parkway, and State Route 266 Jefferson Pike.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Yeah, this project is for extending the existing left turn lane and providing an additional left turn lane from State Route 266 on Sam Ridley Parkway onto State Route 266 Jefferson Pike. This project has received $1 million in the Carbon Reduction Program grant funding through TDOT. And this is the design contract with Barge to start the NEPA and environmental.
Question for Charles on this?
Charles, any idea what the stacking capacity would be on each lane?
We're going to maximize as much as we can because it's going to push on down because you have the left turn lane at Weekly. So like I said, we're going to get all we can get back through there, but you'd also have the left turn lane into the apartments and into the church. So we'll try to get all we can get there because we know we can use it.
Okay.
Question?
The remaining balance on this, or were you looking to get more grant money somehow?
This, at the meeting, should put us at pretty much the 80-20 mark on this, so we're gonna be pretty close on that. Once we get closer into the construction, we'll see, but current estimates, this should be close to maybe our 80-20 split on the contract.
Other questions? Okay, thanks, Charles. Item 13 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Tischler Bice Incorporated for the impact fee study update. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council. This is something that was put in the budget this year to do an update on our impact fees. This is something that's required per our ordinance every 5 years. Last time we did it was 2 years ago, so we're approaching 3. Some communities do update every 3 years. It does vary kind of around the country. We budgeted $35,000 in this year's budget to do this project. That was based on a price we had received from our consultant for the last, every time we've done this over the past 20 years or so, that's the price they've given us. That company, Duncan Associates, is basically all the principals in that company have retired as of this year. The company shut down. They did recommend a couple of different firms to us to take over for them. We did do some informal interviews with them and did come back and are recommending Tischler Bice to you. Their proposal, the cost is higher at $55,200. Yes, I believe that we've been kind of getting a repeat customer discount for the last several years. This is worth significantly less than the other firm that was recommended to us. We did attach the draft contract, the proposal that they gave us, so we would recommend approval of this.
Questions for Kevin on this? Okay, then we will add that to the agenda. The 13 items that we just went through were our consent agenda items. So we'll now move on to item 14, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PUD zoning of property on tax map 11, parcel 5.00, requested by 452 Properties LLC containing 225.25 acres. The property is located on Mona Road, east of I-840. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is something that was recommended by Planning Commission. Nothing has changed really on the recommendation or anything from the new recommendation. I will tell you that we did receive revised plans from them. Too late to put them in this packet, but we will have it for you in the December packet certainly. That were just tweaked a few things basically to address some of the comments that were the conditions regarding the Coulter Court extension. Now the phasing map has been updated to reflect what was required, as well as the traffic improvements was included to again match what was required as part of that condition. And then the requirement of the 100-foot landscape buffer in any case where the industrial building or parking area is to be constructed within 1,000 feet of an existing residence. There was one area they did add some additional buffering for an existing house along Mona Road. And so the maps, as well as the landscape buffer details, have been updated to reflect that. Those were the only changes to what you already have in your packet. So relatively, again, to address the conditions that were recommended, as recommended by Planning Commission.
So there is the annexation, but one of the things that had to come before us, but not before planning, was the actual contract, which you have in front of you. It is not a signed contract at this point. It was approved with some changes by the CUD's board, and they did give approval for it to be signed. Jeff and I had conversation, and until we kind of looked over it and we were okay with it, Jeff was not going to get them to sign it. Would you?
Yes, they will. They wanted to make sure that the town was okay with these changes before they
Went ahead and
as their
signed it.
signature, and all the lawyers wanted to ensure that they're substantial contract to make sure there's no errors that we need to clean up.
So, between now and first reading, I wanted us tonight to be able to go through this and see if there were concerns that anyone had specifically, and then move into the actual development itself, if you all are okay with that. So, I know I've got a list of questions here that went along with the contract. Are there questions that you all have regarding the contract between the developer, the developer and CUD and us?
I've got a few, but I'm not sure it's specifically to the,
Contract?
yes.
Okay.
At some time, and if we could, I would like someone to present the traffic impact study and possibly this contract, just a big picture of it,
Okay.
so that not only us, but the public could kind of see it.
Okay. So I do have a couple of specific questions. Jeff, for me, the first time in this contract, I saw a new name that I had not seen before, Fall Creek Commerce Center. So we were doing, the other one was
472.
422?
452.
452, we'll get it. So is 452 still going to be able to be used on stuff, or are we now changing everything to this?
We'll now be using the Fall Creek Commerce Center LLC. I spoke with Paul Ranke today, and he advised that this is the final development entity, which just shows that it's concentrated mainly and committed to this project.
Okay. And I know that was what they put on their plan development that they sent to us in the packet, so, okay. In the actual agreement, when it talks about the Mona Road agreement, that's the Panattoni agreement, I'm making an assumption?
Correct, as I understand it, yes.
Okay. It references in here a couple of times an agreement with the county. And I've not seen an agreement with the county, nor do I know of any discussion we've been having with them to put an agreement together.
As an agreement pertains to us, we don't believe that we would need one, but if you'll notice, 2A, it starts off with only to the extent required by applicable law. We don't believe there's any applicable law. I think the developer just wanted to have that in case. Additionally, the other county provisions that you see would call for, if there was any reasons, we're not aware of any. I did speak with Mike Strange today, in case there was some kind of stormwater issue that we came in contact with because we were in their right of way for one of the roads or something like that, that we would obviously go through the county on that. But as we know it right now, there's not anything we would need, but this just basically makes it clear that we would work with the county on those issues if they do come up.
Okay? It
Do we
also,
know that-
go ahead. No, go
Sorry
ahead.
to bounce back on the Mona Road agreement, but do we know that CUD can properly service both of these developments?
At the meeting, they didn't have any,
They
the mayor and I
expressed no
attended.
concern.
Yeah, they didn't have any concern.
Do we have any, we don't have any updates on where the Mona Road, well, other development is, or any other developments to be put into this area?
We have not seen, as it relates to the intervening parcel, we haven't seen anything come forward officially yet. But if you remember, we did have something, well, you probably, if you saw, we did have something come for consideration before planning for the other parcels that are just to the west of 840, from the third developer out in
But
that
wouldn't-
area.
They wouldn't access through this property or anything like that, though, would they? I mean, they're completely separate to it. I guess what I'm concerned about is property which would be in between Jefferson Pike and this property here, the large area in between. And, you know, because that's area that we're going to be that we're going to be servicing as it comes in.
We've not seen anything from those properties at all.
But the third parcel that we're talking about that's on it will access utilities from this side though, won't it?
The third, the parcels that are west of 840, they would, if they were to be annexed, would have to connect to this sewer would be a part of the agreement.
So it will have to connect.
So we'll have to go back, will we have to run utilities under the 840 again, or?
I think
They
that would be
will.
up to them, yeah.
Is there a sleeve for that one? No sleeve for that one?
Not that we're aware of.
Wow.
I didn't mean to hijack you, Mary Esther. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good.
Then after you're finished, Mayor, I do have a
Okay.
couple questions.
Item 2D as in dog. It talks about the current owner of the property having to sign an agreement that does agree to de-annex if this deal, what?
That was one of my questions.
Oh, if this deal falls through. If we move this forward and plan on voting on this at first reading, unless we have that an agreement, I'm not comfortable moving forward with
And I've
this. I feel like that's part of what we
I've
need.
advised Mr. Ranky of this as well. that,
Okay.
We expect that to be with the contract.
Okay. Jeff, can you talk, even though I know it's CUD stuff, can you talk a little bit about 4B as in boy? It's the cost allocation for the utility improvements.
Well, as it pertains to CUD, not really. More of, we outlined a cost to us, which you have three different scenarios, which is if there is two of our utilities with CUD, then we're paying 67%. If it's just sewer or gas with a CUD water line, we would pay 50%. If obviously there's no CUD lines included with us, then we would pay 100%.
Okay. And then, just to remind council and citizens, 9A, in regards to annexation, we're talking about western parcels currently, but if and when we're ready, and if it ever comes, the eastern parcels, within 90 days, they have agreed that they would request annexation based on our request to them.
Correct.
The
Right.
obligation is on the developer,
Is
not
on
on the
them.
town.
Right.
So before you go past that one, back to number 8.
Sorry.
And this is really just for you, Kevin. It talks about that we'll issue building permits within 30 days of their submission. Is that standard? Is that gonna,
I guess,
it says specifically that.
submission of a permit request or submission?
It
I mean, I
says
don't
we
know.
agree best efforts so as to facilitate developers' anticipated schedule for the commencement of site work for the construction of the project no later than 30 days following the date the developer submits its request for such permit.
Well, 30 days shouldn't be an issue from the time they submit for a grading permit.
But it doesn't say
That's
just,
typically,
it doesn't say just grading, it pretty much says permits in general.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure you're aware of what you're agreeing to.
Yeah, well, typically, Mr. Rose can speak to the grading. My understanding with them, kind of similar to what we do in the building code side, is there's a couple week, usually within 2 weeks of the submittal, we review the plans and make comments back to them. But then we're kind of depending on them to resubmit new plans. So, I mean, shouldn't be an issue if everything works timely, but it could be an issue.
This is, I just want to clarify as well,
Respect
this is
to utilities.
specific to the utility improvements, not the entire development.
Okay, so there wouldn't be a
provision.
site plan for a building then?
Yeah, it does say, what,
At the second line.
it says any and all building and site-related permits. It doesn't just say
Required.
utility improvements.
Required with respect to the utility improvements.
So the utility improvements is qualifying that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, we should be okay from my perspective on that piece of it anyway.
Item 10, impact fees and annexation. If for some reason they decide, they have a way of building on any of their other parcels in the county before coming to us, they would still be required to pay the annexation, impact fees.
Yes, yes. Per this agreement, normally they would not be, but per this agreement, even though I think as we're all aware, so far, the county has not issued an approval for such, but in case they did, early on, we negotiated that into this agreement.
That was it for me with the actual contract itself. Were there any other specifics?
I know on one of the exhibits, we show the natural gas line going, I guess, across Wilson County, and I know we've had discussion, Mike, about, or Kevin also, whether the county line's correct or incorrect, or there's gonna be some give and take. Are we gonna run natural gas across that portion of Wilson County, I guess is my question.
No, there was two options. Option A, if we realigned, there'd been talk about realigning the county lines, am I stating that correctly, Kevin? That would be an option, or coming down across the intervening property to the other side, that's an option. It's either or.
Okay. Yeah, this Exhibit A kind of shows it crossing over into
Wilson?
Wilson County.
We would not go into Wilson County.
Okay, all right. Then and I spoke with Mike earlier about there's a section in there about utilities, about the tap fees credit. If we needed to upsize, which is normally what we do in any situation, if we need to upsize to serve this whole, I guess, basin, then they would, if they paid for it, they'd get a tap fee credits for the differential. And I guess my question, I spoke with Mike, and when we size this, will we be sizing it also for the easterly 600 acres or 700 acres that's coming in? And it seems like to me, this contract and annexation, everything we're talking about is the west parcels, but it also includes the east parcels. And it's kind of getting confusing to me, because we're almost saying if we annex the westerly parcels, then the natural domino effect is going to be the easterly parcels and probably the intermediate parcels. So I'm kind of struggling with that.
Well, does it also require that when we go to the western parcels that we annex Allen Barrett Road in addition to the Mona Road for the
Yeah.
eastern parcel?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of road to annex.
And I'm struggling with that. My preference would be for it to be a standalone, one annexation at a time. And I know we're trying to plan, but
But are you also saying, because I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I definitely think the annexation should be one at a time because we're not ready for the eastern side by any means. But don't you think we need to go ahead and plan for the utilities for that whole basin out there so we're not coming back and having to upgrade later on? Or 20 years from now, a council that's after us is having to do that?
Well, I think the main thing is sizing the force main. The lift stations can be upsized as you grow. And then there's a reference to, and I think you referenced it, 90 days if they decide to be annexed, then I'm still unclear on that whole 90-day option of if this intermediate tract comes in, then they would be obligated to come in within 90 days?
It's 90 days. Once we as a town say to them, we're ready for you to be annexed, they have 90 days to come to the town to be annexed.
Our letter to
On the
them,
western section.
letting
On
them
the
know is
eastern.
the trigger.
Eastern section, yes.
So we're automatically saying,
No, may I try to take a
Yes,
crack at this?
yeah.
So one of the things that we recognized early on, when the request originally was to annex both the western and the eastern parcel, was that currently we're not prepared to annex that eastern parcel. So when we gave that feedback, then it was, well, we still are going to need to bring, if the developer's paying for all the utility infrastructure, the sewer, the water, and the gas, they want to do it for both parcels. And generally speaking, we only run sewer and utilities to annexed properties. So the negotiation as it relates to that was, well, we'll agree to run or allow you to run at your cost those utilities to both the eastern and the western parcel. However, you're going to be charged at the outside town sewer rate
read that,
when, for that eastern parcel,
if it's not annexed.
if it's not annexed. And so since, as I mentioned, we generally only run sewer to our annexed property, this is just forward-thinking enough without putting the onus onto the council to have to make a decision that eventually that area could be annexed into the town. And if it is requested or approved by this council or the next, you have that right, but not obligation, but they do. They do have that obligation. So basically what they're saying is we will consent to annexation upon the request of the town council at the time that the town council requests it.
How do we decide that?
Well, one of the things that we think will trigger that, or at least the discussion, is that if the intervening parcel, meaning the one in between their eastern and their western tracts, decides to come in for annexation, because then we will have contiguous annexation.
Are we legally binding ourselves to anything with the eastern parcels? Say we decide not to, say the intermediate piece never comes in, say we decide not to annex the eastern parcels. How does that play out with them paying for the utility extensions?
It's the same. So, they would just be charged the outside sewer rate and gas. But obviously, they're going to need, unless the county changes their mind, to be able to do the development that they need to do, to have the PUD, as they've presented here. As you see, it says it's also contingent upon when we annex, accepting the I-2 PUD that they've placed. If you remember the 60-foot issue, which was really the main thing, but
But
yeah.
Jerome, I called Jeff today about the same, because when I read that about the 90 days, the way it read to me was if the parcel in between came in and asked for annexation, it almost read to me like then we as a town have 90 days to ask them to annex. And
Right.
Jeff says it's not that. Jeff says that we, the town, when we're ready, can tell them at any point, or not at all, that we want them to annex, and then they have 90 days to do that. But I had the same question.
How do we as a council, I guess, and I'm just throwing what ifs out there, you know, I'd rather what if it before we sign off on it. Because usually it's the other way around. They come in and says, okay, we want to annex. How does the council make that determination? Is it just, okay, the intermediate tracks come in, want to be annexed? Is that the automatic trigger, or is it open discussion? You know, what triggers that, I guess?
Well, one, it sounds to me like we know for sure that if we would let them be annexed today, that they would annex that piece of
Right.
that parcel today, but
Right.
it, from what personally I see is we're not ready we need a fire station out there, there's other things out there that we need, so I think we're gonna have to look at those things as a council, whether it's with the west parcel or the east parcel, to decide if we think we're ready.
And that's some of the other
Right.
questions I have. It's just, throughout this whole discussion, it's kind of been all tied together, and it's kind of confusing me.
Mm-hmm.
My depth chart doesn't go that deep. you
Well,
know,
and-
sometimes.
And I do think, one, we have to think about it from a capacity standpoint for just the west and the east, but we also have to think that, you know, it's a $40 million investment for them that we're not having to upfront the cost. And so, I mean, I think there's some of that to think about too.
But it also, those figures in there that triggers our cost, I think it was, what did I add up, 38 million? You know, so are we?
Which is after the east.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
So are we over, no, I think it was just the.
You're talking about the police, the fire,
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
that, that was
That
both
was all
parcels
of it.
together.
That is
Okay.
all of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're kind of overextended down Amaville Road. Are we ready to overextend out Mona Road to Bill France? And that's where I have the issue. 5 miles to the northeast, we've already annexed 5 miles to the southwest. But anyway, that's my input.
I want to clarify one thing, and I think this is on partially my fault in terms of that analysis as it relates to the cost, the full maximum cost of current day costs, if, for the police, the fire, and all of that was just referenced. We're talking about costs in a built-out environment. So I don't know if we can necessarily even focus just on the eastern and the western parcel that we're talking about right now. We're talking about the entire area, and all of which would come online in segments as demand requirements necessitated.
So did you use future cost or current cost?
Current costs.
Okay.
Ask a question. Why is the intervening piece of property, the piece of property between the east and the west, why is that a factor in when we ask them to annex?
Non-contiguous right now. And so the
What
only
is-
reason that it was not presented because they wanted to be annexed in the beginning is with it not being non-contiguous and knowing what we've known with the county and especially what they experienced when they went to the county anyway with that is in talking with Mr. Santucci and utilities, when we all met was that, number one, we know that it's not contiguous, so we don't want to serve all of that out there because the county's probably going to ask us to serve everything in between. And then also knowing that it's going to take some time to be able to get out there, then the option was, because, you know, the trade-off is they're putting in $40, $50 million of infrastructure. And so that's just the agreement if council chooses to do it.
So-
But that's why.
I guess my other thought process is, what if the intervening property never develops or never annexes and we end up coming down that other road? The way the agreement's written, they only have the obligation if that annexes and we send a letter. What if that never annexes and does that mean they can never, we're never gonna send them a letter and they're never gonna be allowed to annex, or is that you still, I don't understand why the property, I understand, so, because it would be non-contiguous, but if that property never develops, and just between me and you, Panantoni has said they're gonna do a lot of things, but they haven't done them, so I'm just not sure
Well,
if that's ever gonna happen.
The eastern property is non-contiguous. I mean, the western property's non-contiguous now.
Well, it will be
We're
because
extending right away.
we're gonna do the road, right?
Yeah.
But
And so,
I'm just making sure that at some point, if we wanted them to be able to annex that, or if we were ready, but the Panantoni property wasn't, is there a mechanism in this agreement where we could send them a letter and say, you can go ahead and annex?
So I want to just make sure I understand correctly. To your point, if the intervening parcel, at least as it's defined in this agreement, never annexes or never develops, but everything else around there develops, and it then makes sense to annex that eastern parcel.
Or to allow them to, right?
Right.
Maybe not, maybe don't care either way, but it doesn't hurt at this point. That's all, I'm just trying to figure out why in 9B does the intervening piece really even matter to the town?
So-
And if it's all
Sorry.
about us letting them know by letter that we're ready for them to annex, why can't it just say that?
Is there a
I
road
hear you.
path to annex the right-of-way that gets to the eastern parcels?
That's the.
That's
yeah.
in the
Well,
county.
there is, but you gotta go up the other road,
Yeah,
right?
Gotta go,
Poplar.
gotta go Allen, yeah, there, Allen Barrett to Powell's Chapel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there is another, and there was another way.
and part of Bill France.
There was
too.
another way around Bill France, right? There was another way around as well that was an option.
No, because I think that's in Wilson County.
You have to go through Wilson County. If the
Okay.
county line changes and Bill
Okay.
France Boulevard becomes entirely within the town, that would become
But,
an
and the
option too.
other way had the bridge that we didn't want to have to deal with. So
That's Powell's Chapel.
with that said, should it be taken out and not referencing that intervening parcel?
Because here's my other thought is what if 452 or whatever they're called now works out an agreement to get a right of way through the intervening parcel? And the parcel never annexes, but they got an agreement to get sewer over to their eastern part. Now, I mean, by the
It's
agreement, are
invalid,
we
yes.
stuck because we didn't, because the intervening piece never annexed?
Councilmember Sullivan, I think that's a good point. Obviously, I think I understand what you're saying. We can follow up with Fall Creek Commerce Center LLC following this meeting and see.
I'm just gonna start
get their
calling it
thoughts
Fall
on
Creek.
that. Yeah.
That's easy. Yeah, okay, that's all.
I know what you're saying.
It just seemed like, to
If
Jerome's
council
point.
wants that, obviously.
Yeah, to Jerome's point, it's just another piece of property that was making it a little more confusing to me. There's eastern, there's western, there's intervening, and I'm just not even sure. I hate to put their agreement based on somebody else's actions that we can't enforce or force. We learned that the hard way before. We can't force that intervening property to ever do anything.
I think the point
And-
is that when it makes sense for the town to annex that.
That's right. So whenever we send them a letter and say we're ready, whether the intervening property has done it or not, they can annex and, getting sewer there, that's part of the problem, right? But maybe they work that out themselves by buying property.
When whatever triggers that,
Yeah.
okay, however we rewrite it, that will come to the council, right, to discuss and vote on,
Yes.
rather than us just sending them a letter saying, hey, request to be annexed. We'll discuss that first, correct?
Yes, well, we talked about this before, and I'll be honest, I don't remember seeing it, that rather than it just going to planning, that we wanted everything with this project to come back to us.
Of course, that's kind of a different part of it. I think,
Right.
Councilman Dempsey's just asking, does council decide, Kevin, send them a letter asking them to consent to annexation, I think is his question. And the way this was set up, now, like I said, I'm hearing you tonight, but the way this was set up was, it was contemplated if that parcel was annexed, then within 90 days, we would expect them to, after we sent them a letter, within 90 days, that they would consent to annexation, if we asked them to.
What triggers the what's the process of the letter going out?
I think that would be,
For this right now, it would be that other parcel being annexed. And so,
But I thought when you and I talked today that just because that parcel was annexed doesn't mean within 90 days.
that's what triggers this. The obligation is not on
Gotcha.
this board. The obligation per the agreement's for them, but that's what triggers this in this agreement right now, is that
And that's what I'm not comfortable with.
That's why I said, I don't think the intervening property should matter.
I'm getting some head nods
Yeah.
from the audience,
Yeah.
so I think that this is, we can certainly make that change.
The other thing I want to point out in that, and this is just really for council, because it specifically says that, we're going to send them a letter, they're going to come in within 90 days, but it also caveats it that we're going to annex that as I-2 light industrial. So when it comes back to us for annexation, the
There's no
agreement
discussion
is
on
it's
that.
going to be
We know what
I-2.
it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, so at that time, we can't make an issue out of that. So if we have an issue with that, now's the time.
But here's my concern with that. Right now, today, that's okay, but what happens if there's 7 other people
And
sitting up
does
here and
does
we?
that circumvent the planning commission even reviewing it? That, hey, we got a contract here, we already, the town's already said it's gonna come in as this zoning. Are we circumventing the process?
Well, I mean, I
the
think,
contract is only for the sewer and gas improvements. The planning commission would still have the ability to either recommend or not recommend. The council would still have the ability to either pass annexation or deny it.
But in that contract, like I said, it calls out
yeah, that's true. We can always not annex it. But if we annex it, this says it has to be I-2.
Their consent is, yes, conditioned upon the PUD that they brought forward with I-2 and the.
I agree with the mayor. Is that gonna be applicable?
Do we have to put that in there, what it's gonna be for sure zone?
Well, obviously, because of their investment, that's what they were wanting, is to have those
I
assurances that they could
completely
have
understand
this.
why they want it. I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this
I'm not
bad,
sure I
I'm not
wouldn't put it
looking
in
out
there
for
either.
their best
Yeah.
interest, I'm looking out for the town's best
Right.
interest.
And I'm telling you,
and
that's
so-
why it's in the agreement.
Yeah, right. But is there a way in which we can, that can be taken out?
We can speak with them. I don't know that they will accept, hey, you'll just consent to be annexed and make you R1. I mean, I don't know if they'll do that.
Right. I just know that was a contentious point with the western property, the amount of commercial, the amount of industrial. And, so this doesn't mention any commercial, right? So,
That's right. And this one's a little further away from
yeah,
Bill
I
Franklin.
understand, but once it develops, I just want to make sure everybody understands
Right.
what you're agreeing to now versus later.
That's right.
What if it
And
was
I don't have
just?
I don't personally have any issue with it. I think I-2 makes perfect sense right now.
Right.
But what will it look like in 10 years? I don't know.
Well,
What if it was just
what if
PUD?
an I-2 ordinance changes as well?
Yeah,
If we go. and
That's a good
make an
idea.
ordinance
What-
Changed and then the
what if-
I-2 allowance.
What if we just cut it off after district?
Yeah, what if it's
Rezoning
just
the eastern portions
PUD?
to a PUD?
That way, we could agree to all industrial, or we could agree to some sort of mix, but
We can speak with them. I know that they brought forward that plan that showed what their plan was, and they had, of course, would still had to come back to you to agree to come back to council and planning commission for design review and site plan. But if that's what you want us to do, obviously, that's, we're not here to convince you otherwise.
One more thing, can we legally do that?
Do
That
what?
we guarantee them future zoning
If they're
based on the contract?
no,
if it-
because we're not guaranteeing it, because we still get to vote on it. We could still
Okay.
deny the
But they
annexation.
want to come in at that.
They can want whatever they want. If we don't approve it, it still doesn't happen.
That's the consideration for their
Right.
consent.
Yeah. So we still have the right to deny it, no matter what it is.
I would like to see that
I agree.
the intervening parcel thing be mixed, and that it almost stop after planned unit district on 9A, taking out, and it very well may contain I-2 light.
Yeah,
But-
basically, what that sentence does is relieves their obligation to annex if we don't want industrial. So we can't say we don't want industrial and then they have to annex. It's basically giving them an out, that if they can't get it annexed the way they want it, then they don't have to annex it R1. They don't have to annex, right? So it's kind of giving them some assurances, and I understand that. But I think if you do PUD, it gives us both some leeway there on what it has to come, what it comes in at.
Kevin, you deal with this daily. Does that give you heartburn?
I mean, I think, I'm not not an attorney, so I don't know the legality one way or the other, or anything like
But
that.
not from a legality standpoint.
I think it's tough to say today, 10 years from now, we're gonna zone this I-2. Different members of the council, different members of the planning commission, to require somebody, you either approve it or deny it based on an I-2 zoning. I think that's a tough, to me, that's tough to do to yourselves or to any future council.
To something that,
Yeah.
You're obligating them to either approve or deny the annexation, but also obligating them to either approve or deny an I-2 zoning.
so it really just comes down to whether the developer would be willing to take some open-ended statement saying that we'll annex it and
Because, I mean, 10 years from now, if Stewart's there, Bill France could look completely different, and you could have some commercial opportunities, even though that's further away from the 840 interchange. It connects to another state highway in Wilson County, but at 231, so I mean, there could be some opportunities for some additional commercial development there on the frontage that might make sense then. Doesn't necessarily make sense today, but might make sense.
Yeah, as of today, right now, the zoning matches perfectly for what they want to do.
And
But
what's on
there's
the
no-
other side in Wilson
Right, but there's no
County,
guarantee
you know.
that will remain.
Right.
So Jeff, do you understand what we're wanting in regards to this?
I do, and just to clarify, on the last sentence of 9A, we're wanting to basically just say rezoning eastern parcels to planned unit district. Do you want me to refer to the Exhibit E or just to a PUD? Because Exhibit E is going to show the I-2, is what I'm saying, so.
I think it,
I don't have
We don't have the
E.
exhibits.
We don't have the exhibits in
Well,
this,
it's
so.
the same exhibits on there. This was just the agreement that you.
I can't
if
remember off the
Exhibit
top
E
of
is
my
just a
head.
map.
Well, but it's going to show I-2.
It's basically
Mayor.
the concept plan that shows all the buildings that they're proposing.
Then I wouldn't,
Reference the PUD.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to
yeah,
make sure that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, for their sake too, right? Because that
Yeah.
exhibit may change, the building location, sizes, that might change for them too. So if we're referencing an exhibit and saying it's gonna look like this, that may be different for them too.
But would the word containing I-2 not actually leave it open to?
No, we're
he's
saying
gonna take
taking
that
that
out.
out. We would take all that out.
Okay.
Yeah, so it still gives them an out if we don't approve their PUD. Yeah, so we can't force them to do something unrealistic.
Which a person could always remove anyway if they didn't like what.
Yeah. So contract-wise, is there anything else before we move on to look at the actual PUD and have discussion about that? So you understand those two things. We have to have the signed agreement with the current owners about de-annexation as part of this. Was there anything else?
The intervening property,
Yeah, I've already got, that's going to be removed. It's
Yeah.
just 90 days from being
and then
notified.
updating 9A, so it doesn't say anything about I-2.
And we have to have that prior to whenever it goes on, if it goes on this agenda or
That's right.
not. Okay. Okay, so we talked about the contract. Let's talk about the project itself. We've had quite a bit of discussion but we have not had discussion about it since,
Last month.
yeah, since the last 10 months.
You know, Mayor, one of the things is traffic flow, you know, and I know I read through the extremely large traffic impact study. I also read in there that there was a lot of assumptions in that traffic impact study. And, if there's any way, I would like to get someone here to present that to us, to give us the, you know, the high level. I've still got questions about, you know, the Mona Road, Jefferson Pike intersection, and how we're going to prevent trucks from going that way. Just overall traffic flow.
Kevin, is that something you're comfortable with, or would you be more comfortable with?
I would be more
Because I don't know that
comfortable-
we've done
yeah.
that, had somebody else come in.
I would be more comfortable having their consultant present their study. Yeah.
Okay,
And then have we had our third-party consultant take a look at it?
I don't think our third party has. I know the county's third party did.
Okay.
Neil Schaefer. I don't think we've had ours, I believe, Charles. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
and I agree with that. I think this is too big of a project for us to not have our third-party people also look at it, so, so let me ask you all, do you all want to do a special called meeting to do that? Or do you want to, obviously, we probably can't get that in between now and first reading. So would you rather do that at the next workshop?
Probably the next workshop.
Yeah, I think that'd be best. Next workshop.
Which reminder, that is not until January 6th of 2026.
Nothing's gonna happen before that anyway.
Do we
But now,
feel,
what about the corrections that are made to this agreement right here? Will they not have to go back to CUD
CUD.
again?
probably,
So there's another,
but it may be that they're so minor that, because those deal with us and not with their stuff. Just kind of like their stuff that they didn't deal with us.
My understanding, I wasn't at their meeting, but they gave permission or
Roger.
authority to the director to sign.
Do you all feel like there's going to be so much to discuss in regards to the traffic study and any other things that we want discussed, that we need to put it in with the workshop for January? Are you all okay with that? Okay. Okay, what other issues, so we can knock this out with, hopefully with just one more meeting, what other questions or concerns do you have that you want to have addressed at that meeting?
There's one more that Mike Strange, I might ask him to look into is, you know, we're extending a long force main onto an extremely long force main. And I'd have a comfort level if we would get someone to look into whether we need some kind of special aeration, treatment, or something of that sewage in that extremely, I mean, we're talking, what, 7-8 mile force main now that's really could impact the treatment at the wastewater treatment plant and make the odor control a bigger issue than what it is now, I'm telling you. Yeah, because it's all, you're gonna have all these hydrogen sulfide gases build up, and so I just, you know, can we do some kind of treatment at those 2 lift stations, or, you know?
Well, I think that's one of the things that'll be looked at, whether or not odor control is required. I
Right.
would assume that it will be. That's something for the engineers to work out.
Right.
Obviously, Mark would work on that. Remember, this is not a force main the entire way. This is a mix of gravity and force
Right.
mains. But when they do the design and work on this, Mark will work with their engineer, and they will make sure that everything's covered on that end.
Odor control would be appreciated.
Understand?
behind your house.
Yeah.
Just thankful I live on the west side of
Yeah,
I-24.
I thought when we did the upgrade, it was gonna get better. So, are you comfortable with having that discussion at the next meeting for questions to be asked with that? Okay.
Sure.
other things that you want to make sure that they can prepare for between now and then for us to have discussion?
Just to make, be clear, when we're talking about the traffic study, you're talking about all of Bona Road, the south part and the north part in between. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The traffic study was for basically for all phases, including the eastern parcels and everything. The traffic study was done for all
But
of
even
them.
all the way down to Jefferson Pike and Mona Road?
I mean, that was part of, the traffic study was, I'm pretty sure they did look at that, but
Okay.
I can't remember.
So it'll comprise Powell's Chapel also?
Yeah, I mean, it included Bill France and everything. It was all the development for the entirety of the development, not just the western side.
Okay, other stuff, other information?
The only other, is first responders, fire and police. How's that going to affect operations? What's the plan, to make sure we've got adequate response times out there? And then the others, of course, the roadways. In my mind, we're tackling a whole nother segment that we're going to annex, that we're going to have to, improve the roadways. And I've seen the cost estimates. The cost estimates seem very minimal of what we're going to have to do, but while we've got other issues around town, we're kind of, I guess, expanding the scope of roads that we're going to have to be responsible for. So, what's, I guess, our plan for that,
We good? I don't think that's a question that he's expecting to be answered right this second. I think it's one for the
Right.
January meeting. So do we have notes as to the questions that we want answered?
I think I've wrote them down. I just want to make sure I
Okay.
meet the council's expectations. So, one, what is fire department response times look like getting out there? That was provided in an email by Chief Goss, but we can make sure that we reiterate that at the next time we discuss
And at our
this.
meeting that we did, yeah.
Well, it goes like
8 minutes.
8 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going one way and 11 minutes going another.
Yeah.
That's correct. Need to have the de-annexation agreement from the current owner in place. You'd like to hear from the traffic engineer at the next meeting to address any questions. I would say that if there's anything specific that you'd like addressed, if you could send those my way, and I'll make sure that that's the focus of the traffic consultant's discussion along with anything else. And then we talked about a revision to Section 9. What I'm not clear on is there was some discussion about the workshop, which would mean that this is not going on the agenda for first reading at the meeting. And then I heard something different as well. So I just want to, I guess you'll make the vote of whether or not this is going on the meeting or not. But, so I wasn't sure if it's going on the meeting and we're going to clarify at the workshop for second reading or how that's working.
Based on what I'm hearing, I'm hearing that there's too many questions that are still left unanswered to be able to go on the December meeting. It would be, the first opportunity for first reading would be the January meeting.
Okay.
After the December, that's in January workshop, when the questions can be answered.
Yes, ma'am. The workshop is January 6th, and the council meeting is the 13th, which is that following Tuesday,
Okay.
so it would come back on first reading.
Okay. And Jeff, as much work as we can get done in regards to the contracts to see if CUD is okay, and what did we say their name is now? Fall Creek?
Commerce
Is it
Center.
Fall what?
Fall Creek Commerce
Fall Creek.
Center.
Okay,
LLC.
Fall Creek.
Already made the change.
You've made them? Look at you. That's why you get the big bucks, right?
He's read it all.
Multitask. Is there anything else? What I don't want to do is, I don't want to come back next month and at the next meeting and say, we need another month because there's something else. So,
Can the third party, Dave, to answer your question about sending in comments, is it possible before the traffic impact study is presented that we have those review comments from the third party consultant?
I mean, Charles, you can speak to their kind of timeline.
Additionally, while Charles is coming up, if any one of you want to speak to the development team or the traffic consultant, I'm sure individually prior to get a level of comfort or discomfort, whatever that may be, I'm sure I can arrange that as well.
Well, I feel like I said, if the county's third party, Neil Schaefer, Greg Judy, I feel very comfortable with theirs, and I don't see really having a need for ours if they have already done that, so.
Well, they're looking at it from their perspective.
Right,
Not from the town's.
Yeah, well, the way traffic flows, it flows. It's just not, how it is. But I'd like to look at theirs first to see if it'd be necessary or not, and see what they've taken into account before we engage our third party, because that would be a longer time frame than I think you're looking for, so. But I think that's something we need to do is pull their third party and see what their comments are to the traffic study.
Do you think you can get your hands on that tomorrow or Wednesday?
Sure, I'll go, get with with Kevin and see if we can get that from them, yeah.
Okay, if you could get that and send it to us as well, so that we
Okay.
can be looking at it. And then, if you don't mind, sending an email once you've had a chance to review it as to whether you think we need to have a third party look at it as well, and then we can look at it on top of that.
Right, yeah, we'll just see what their comments were, if they were seeing any other issues. But as far as what I've seen before, most of the traffic is going back to 452. But to your point, how do you ensure that other traffic is not coming up Mona, that somebody coming in from Murfreesboro is just going to go up Mona instead of going out to the interstate and then circling kind of back around? Yeah, that issue, like I said, I don't know if signage alone, like I said, we try that out here on Florence Road for Nissan, and, we have some success with it, but it's not perfect.
It's not working.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you have commuter, like I said, commuter traffic and not the truck traffic.
Charles had already used one up that road.
Yeah. So.
I passed the lawnmower.
And
Okay.
I also took a ride of all those roads a few weeks ago. And it's just, they're old county roads.
Yes.
With a lot of curves, a lot of 90-degree bends. And if you get a tractor trailer on there, it's just, it's his lane and that's it.
Right, it's going to be pretty much the
Right.
Florence Road thing with Nissan,
Yeah.
like I said, where you have the
And-
tight turns, yes.
And, was the county really looking at, what we would be, their perspective? I
Yeah.
understand traffic's traffic.
Right, but I'll see if they,
Yeah.
if they've looked what their
Right.
concerns were on that, because I'm
Yeah.
sure if they were looking at taking it in county, that would be the road, but they would be looking at the same thing, so. But yeah, I'll definitely look that over and get with you on that.
And if you'll send it to us as soon as
Yes,
you get it.
okay.
Okay, so we are going to not put this for first reading in our December meeting. We're going to move it to our December workshop for more discussion. You know what all we want to discuss, but that'll be held in January. Okay, so we'll move on to item 15, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 28J, Group A, parcel 2.00, to go from R3 to C4. It's requested by James and Angela Schmidt. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 72/100ths of an acre and is located at 1205 Rock Springs Road, and this is a second reading.
Hi.
Kevin, has anything changed
Nothing has
since?
changed on this since you all looked at it on first reading. Just still the same parcel, nothing's changed.
Count.
Is that sign out there for, or do we just do it for annexation? Or do we do it for rezoning as well?
We do signs for rezoning as well.
I
maybe
passed there today and maybe I missed it.
Or maybe it's, sometimes they fall down or get blown over or something, so
Been
we'll check
windy,
on
I
that
know
tomorrow.
that.
Any other questions? Then we will put that on the agenda and move on to item 16, which is consideration authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement between the town of Smyrna and Vester Waldron FLP relative to the vintage.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the developers at the Vintage As part of their approval, they had a common area in addition to the amenities on their sites with the individual phases of their development. They had about approximately 19 acres that was set aside to be a park that would be utilized by all 4 phases. And so that's still a part of their plan. But what they have come forward is with the idea of donating that park to the town. And so this is what this is. It's very similar to what we had worked on with Drapac. Would just be for parking, a park. One thing that is different about this is there's a concept plan that we included in your packet as well. They would be, in addition to, they're not just donating the land to us, they're donating a developed park to us. So they would be making those improvements as well. And so, but it would be as for 2 offset impact fees. The appraised value we received was $1,548,253.98 it's approximately 19. I think it's about 19.6 or 19.7 acres. And so that is what is in front of you. This would go before the Planning Commission for mandatory referral as well. They're meeting next week.
We've actually been meeting with them for quite a while when they first brought this to us, and they were kind of like, what do you think might be useful and needed up there? And so Mike and his team had quite a bit of discussion in the Parks Department, and they thought the Frisbee Golf would be a really good fit. If you'll notice, it also has the restrooms and the pavilion. It's able to be gated off when needed. We were having to deal with that Texas Eastern easement, which was kind of difficult to have to work around. Mike, the only thing that I have question about, it's still showing mulch walking trail. I thought we had changed that to asphalt.
Yes, ma'am. We'd ask them to give that a look, so I'm not sure what the latest is, but.
This was the latest, the plan this was the most recent plan that Mike or I could find, and I asked for the most recent plan, and this is what they sent us. So I know that was something
That was
we
probably
did
the
talk about.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
So is that something we can have discussion with them prior to
Sure.
vote on that? But the nice thing about this is I think it's going to be able to be used by not just people in their development, but all of the people that are over there on that side, so. Sure.
Do we know how many acres is in the 2 easements? I think that was, what was it, electrical easement and the gas easement? Is it probably about a third of it, maybe?
Yeah, it's a large portion of it, certainly,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know how many acres, though.
Basically, all we can do on that property is just do the access across it, it looks like.
Right, and the walking trail.
And then in the cost evaluation, we're giving them for this, for develop the park and the land, what is it?
1.548 million.
Now,
Yeah.
there was a figure in there about 6,275,000 in that report. Was that for the 19 acres or for the whole site?
I think that's the whole site.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And they're constructing the park, correct?
And then
Good.
turn it over to
Good.
us.
I agree with you, Mayor, that this seems like it's better located. And where's the cemetery located in this area? Isn't there a
The cemetery that I'm aware of, at least, is kind of on the south side. Here, if I can get my thing.
You know about the
over
one
here.
that's right on Old Nashville Highway?
Yeah.
It's right
Yeah.
here. It's right there in
Okay.
that rectangular
Okay.
area there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's farther on.
Yeah, it's south of this location.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good project that them
Yeah.
doing it and taking care of it for us, so. Okay, then we will put that on the agenda, but y'all will have discussion with them about the,
Regarding the trail, yes, ma'am.
perfect. Okay, item 17 is consideration of the Smyrna Police Department policy revisions relative to the court attendance, promotions, conduct, and responsibilities and discipline. Chief?
All right, council, this is part of our ongoing CLIA process. We're making revisions to our present policies. The first is court attendance. This is a revision to address procedural things as far as the officer not showing up for court and what discipline would follow. On the promotional aspect of this, this is in regards to when people take a promotional exam, the written portion, we want to have a list where when a candidate passes the test, they don't have to take the test multiple times. That list will be in place for 3 years. If a promotion comes open, they don't have to do the written part of the test over again. As far as the conduct and responsibilities policy, this is pretty much a major overhaul. I've got Detective Anderson here with me tonight to speak on this further when I get down to the matrix part. So he had to go through the policy as far as conduct policy and responsibilities in order to put these conducts and responsibilities in categories, A through H, as far as the categories go that match up with corresponding numbers, as far as severity of infractions or discipline issues that may come up with that an officer has as far as the conduct goes. And the last one on the discipline part is where we're going to actually ask for a revision to implement our matrix. Detective Anderson has worked a lot on this matrix. Where I came from, we had a discipline matrix for conduct. To me, it brings consistency and fairness to the process. If an officer is accused of or is found to possibly an investigation has shown them to have some kind of misconduct. I also think it sets clear expectations for officers. They know what they're looking at as far as discipline. If they've been accused of an infraction and are found to have actually broken a policy. And I think it also, it streamlines the process as far as discipline. If we do have an officer that's had a misconduct and we have to hold them accountable, it gives, it makes the process more streamlined and it gives more clarity to what that discipline may be. I've asked Jason to come with me tonight so he can actually do a quick PowerPoint to give you guys an idea of how the matrix would actually work. So Jason, if you don't mind, come on up.
Gotcha. Hey, Mayor and Council, I appreciate the audience tonight. Hopefully I'll make this quick. Just a little bit about me. I'm a detective. The chief a little over a year ago assigned me to our professional standards division, and so part of my job has been overhauling not overhauling, just making improvements and adjustments in our policy. And as he said, this is something that a lot of other departments, especially larger departments, have. This is a good thing, we believe, for the administration and especially the officers. Okay, so here's a list of benefits that we feel are going to come into play here with our matrix. Sets clearly defined expectations for the officer. So in the unfortunate event that they are accused of something and say there's a internal affairs investigation, sometimes those take time and they could even be put on administrative leave. It causes a lot of stress for officers. And so this hopefully would help with that. Maybe it might make it worse depending on what the accusation is. But if they have this, they can look at the matrix and they can kind of know what they can expect if they're found guilty of something. Also, it ensures equity and consistency. Officers, employees have a long memory when it comes to these things, and if they find themselves in trouble, they automatically want to compare that to something somebody else did, years before, and so this helps with that. Transparency, that's always good. Again, they know what to expect, and the administration and their supervisors know what they have at their access. Gives guidance and empowers the street level supervisors. I think the chief would agree, and it's the admin's opinion that sometimes these street-level supervisors have problems or have trouble making these decisions, and this gives them some clear guidelines. Officers' consistency, and that will help us in the town when it comes to any possible litigation if someone happens to sue or has a problem with the way they're giving out discipline. It's consistent all the time. And in most cases, it's a progressive discipline. The officer kind of can work their way out of more severe punishment. Oop, not too far. Okay, so Chief went over that a little bit. The two policies that are affected by this is our conduct and responsibilities policy and the discipline policy. They kind of go hand in hand. So our conduct and responsibility policy, as he said, is one of the most changes. It was a more broad, before, I know that you all have copies of both of the policies, the old and the new. Before, it was a more broad list of things in the conduct and responsibilities. Now we have more, everything that was in the old one is in the new one, but now there's a lot more detail, and like Chief said before, we've broken them down into categories as far as severity of offenses. Okay, here's just a couple of examples that I put up here, easy examples, I hope. So our Category A violations, those are the very minor violations that we've categorized. So you can see being late for work would fall into that Category A. So if an officer had been late twice, that's 2 offenses. So they work their way up to a verbal reprimand. And then so say they end up with a 3rd offense in that A category, then they would end up with a written reprimand. As you can see, it kind of works its way up. A more serious example, we've put in the category an unintentional discharge of a firearm. Unfortunately, that happens from time to time. But in this case, it was not reckless and no injury occurred, and the officer had no other disciplinary actions within those last 3 years. And so then that would result in an 8-hour suspension. And as you can see, there's minimum and maximums, and then the expected outcome. That gives the chief and the administration a little leeway when it comes to administering that discipline. And kind of going along with that, we've got another category of accidental discharge. And say this was a really unfortunate one where an officer was using force and his gun accidentally went off. He was handling it improperly and someone ended up getting hurt. That would fall in our H category, which would be a mandatory termination. So as you can see, it kind of gives us some structure and guidance in the discipline that's being administered. Okay, there are a few exceptions to this. If you looked at those, we were at 1st, 2nd, and 3rd offenses. Say there is an employee that goes over those 3 offenses in a certain category. Within that certain amount of time, at that point, we're proposing that the chief would have his discretion to go outside of the matrix and make a decision on a final discipline. Also, if an officer was on a performance improvement plan, it would be the same. It would be up against the discretion of the chief. And then our trainees, they're not going to be held to this standard. All of that would be at the discretion of the chief until they are certified officers. Along with this, we did do a quick survey with the officers. We had a crash matrix that we instituted a few years ago. Just having to do with traffic crashes kind of works the same way. And it was overall accepted pretty positively. And so we did a survey. If you want to dig into this, it was largely positive, overwhelmingly positive. So we feel like our rank and file officers are on board with this.
When you say employee survey, are these in the officers or are these citywide?
Oh, no, these were the officers, I'm sorry, employees of the police department, yes, sir. And that
You
is the
good?
end of my presentation. Yeah.
Anything for Jason?
So you have 45 responses out of how many total?
Well, we have a little over 100
Okay.
sworn officers at the police department.
Okay.
And it was sent out to everybody. That's just what we got.
I think it goes a long way to offer structure, you know, it doesn't leave it ambiguous. And I can see why they would appreciate that.
Yes, sir. That's the hope.
Other questions? Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Chief?
I just want to say one other thing. When I started over, 3 years ago now since I started, there was one mechanism was not in place here, and that was a process to actually investigate wrongdoing by our officers. And we are held to a very high standard, the highest standard you can have. And I implemented that when I got here because I thought it was very important. Hopefully, a lot of the complaints are unfounded and not true, but unfortunately, there are ones that we have to address and we have to handle. And I appreciate that Jason was willing to take that task on. We targeted him and looked at him as the person that we wanted to do that job. I hate to use targeted, but we noticed that he had a different or a certain skill set that we wanted to utilize, and he is able and willing to step up, and he has stepped up and handled these investigations. I think he handles the cases fairly. He addressed the officers with respect. He lets them know, hey, there's a complaint or there's an investigation that has to be done. He does it in a very professional way. And not only has he juggled that, but he's also juggled our CALEA process that's very arduous. A lot of proofs and things you have to present to the organization that does the accreditation. And Jason's done an outstanding job of doing that, so I just wanted to recognize him and tell him we really appreciate his willingness to do that for the department. So.
See what happens when you do a good job? Any questions for Chief? Thank you all. Okay, we'll move on to item 18, which is consideration of an ordinance amending Title I General Administration, Section 1-104, Order of Business of the Municipal Code relative to the public comment at the meetings. This was brought up at our last workshop regarding public comment period. And so, Amber, are you taking this one?
Yes, ma'am. So as you mentioned, this was requested by the council to be brought forward at this meeting for discussion and to see what it would look like on paper. So as you all are aware, the law that took effect in July 1 of 2023 provided that every board or committee meeting should set aside a public comment period for any citizens that may want to come and speak. There's further verbiage to that, that where we can put restrictions. It was the wishes of this body not to restrict public comment at our meetings and to allow citizens to comment not only to those items germane to items on the agenda, but also just they could speak on topics that are not relative to items that are on the agenda. So with this revision to the order of business in Title I, what we are proposing for discussion is that the public comment period be moved from the beginning of the meeting to after new business before we get into status reports and announcements. This is where all the general comments that are not germane to something that's on the agenda would take place. And then any comments or public comment speakers that sign up to speak relative to an item that's on the agenda, it would actually take place at the time that that item is considered within the agenda.
So it would almost be similar to the public comment period during public hearing, when it would be specific to that item.
It would. The only difference is the public hearing, they do not have to sign up in advance. We
Right.
would still keep our policy for public comment the same, so they would have to sign up 24 hours in advance of the meeting, and state which agenda item they're wanting to speak at. The public hearing right now, they do not have to sign up to speak. So just want to reiterate that it wouldn't be a free-for-all. We would still keep the policy in place for those that want to sign up to speak to items germane to the agenda, except for if it's a public hearing, then we would obviously still operate the same way.
So page 659 in our packet kind of has what the order of business would look like if we move to changing it to this. Comments?
I think this- I like it.
Talking about changing the meeting time because to make the meeting time later, and we had talked about that. We didn't find that we got more people when we had the meeting later, but having a way to allow.
Individuals still
We can
be able
address
to
the
come and
comments.
speak,
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
they're late and don't get here
Right.
at 5.
There were two specific cases. One, people saying that they may or may not be able to get here by 5 o'clock, to be able to be in, to be able to speak. And then the second piece was, we had recent cases where there were people signed up for, citizens' comments, which was at the beginning of the meeting. And then we had public hearing an hour later when we got to the agenda item. And a lot of those people got up and just basically finished saying what they were already saying or said the same thing again. And so by putting them together, the hope is that I think that it would reduce that duplicative speaking, right? Because they're gonna get to speak at public comments.
They could still speak twice.
They certainly could, but I think most of them didn't even recognize that they were gonna be able to speak at public comments anyway. So,
I think if they
Not-
speak before the agenda item, it's fresh on their mind
Yeah.
when we go directly into that agenda
Well,
item.
that's an opportunity to respond.
Yeah.
At the same
Yeah.
time.
But I just want to make sure you understand, if they come at 5 o'clock, they have a set time, they know what time that they're going to speak, and then they can choose to stay or go. With this, it may be an hour and a half or 2 hours into the meeting
They may
before
not-
they
And they
ever,
may not come until then, too.
Right.
Could.
So, yeah.
they
Right.
they
They
could,
have
but
to
I just
time
want
it.
to make sure that we all kind of are aware of that.
Usually, we're pretty good about taking some time, so, right? I mean, they'd have to time it if they wanted to come later.
Right.
To Amber, I guess, when they call in and want to be put on the agenda, you would probably need to educate them about the time that they would go on to speak instead of what they've been used to.
Sure.
And that way, they know, they don't have to get up on general comments, thinking they're speaking towards their item, when they're gonna talk later on the agenda.
And just so all of you are aware, when somebody does call in to sign up to speak, I typically always get their email address and I follow up to them with an email confirming this is the date, time, place, location, and this is how the process goes. So they know that they have the 3 minutes to speak. And yes, I usually inform them that it takes place at the beginning of the meeting. So yes, I will change depending on if they're speaking relative to something that's on the agenda or just under general public
If they
comment
came
at
in
the
here
end of the
and
meeting.
didn't know anything different, they might think, oh, I'm supposed to speak now,
Sure.
instead of later in the agenda.
Well, the nice thing is we'll have their name, and before that
Yeah,
item,
that's my
I'll
point.
be able to say,
Yeah.
so-and-so is here to speak for this
And if
item.
you're okay with it, I will still send you guys your public comment list, and out next to it, I will just mark which agenda number that they're gonna be speaking on. And I'm assuming that you would do the public comment before you actually read the agenda item, or you
Yes.
read the agenda item and then allow them to speak before you have discussion? I'm just trying to,
I will probably just read what the item is, approval of the terms of an authorization. I'll probably read that and then say, we have someone here that would like to speak about this item. Let them speak, and then we can, almost like we're doing the public hearing.
Great.
But it would just be a public comment.
do you
Right.
usually, if they've called in and asked to be on citizens' comment and it's an item that's up for public hearing, do you usually tell them there's already a public hearing for that
Yes,
item? Okay. Yeah.
But I do think there's so many, y'all, we do this all the time. I think there's so many that they've never been to a meeting like this and they just don't know. And
She'll
so,
she'll make sure.
right, and Amber's great about that, but I think we also are gonna be good about giving them grace when they come up and
It's intimidating.
absolutely it
to get up there,
is.
Speak with the camera on you
Yep.
and if it's a new environment.
Absolutely. So, we're good with this? Move forward? Okay. Then we'll move on to item 19, which is consideration of appointment of one member to the Board of Zoning Appeals to serve an unexpired term ending in 2026. If anyone is interested in serving on the BZA, please go online and put in an application. And item 20 is consideration of an appointment of one member to the Linebaugh Library Board of Directors to serve an unexpired term ending in 2027. We already have one person who has applied, and if you are interested, we would ask that you go on and submit an application as well. Okay. Scott, anything tonight? Tom? Oh, wait, Charles, I forgot. Okay. Mike, Carl. The hacker back there. Hey, I had it for like 2 months. The cough would not go away. Oh, look, and here's another one over here on this side, so.
Use your HSA, get you some Robitussin.
Tom? Christie? Casey? No. Casey did a good job the other morning on legislative breakfast. You're welcome.
Casey also understands our love of omelets now.
Yes, that's right. Cameron? Chief? Mike? Sierra? Kevin? Heather? Chief? Amber Lou?
Hey, good job, guys.
Yeah.
Ready for turkey.
Everybody's ready for turkey, that's right. Dave?
I have a few announcements this
Okay.
evening. So, I think I talked about this already, but I'm going to do it again. Would love to see some more action here. I know people probably haven't put up all their Christmas lights yet. I know I sure haven't. But typically Turkey Day is that kicking off point, and so I'm going to ask that everyone go check out the My Smyrna app. And the very first icon in the My Smyrna app will be Highlight Smyrna. And this is an opportunity for you to go in and use our new C-Click Fix application in a fun, friendly, festive way by showing off you or your neighbors' holiday decorations. So please go check it out.
Okay, I have a question to that.
Yeah.
Once the submissions are done, where do you go to click if you're not submitting, but you want to just go look at who has submitted?
There's a button underneath on the landing page for How Do I, and then report an issue. You'll see this graphic on there. That takes you to submit, but then right underneath that, there's a button that says See the Holiday Lights Map. You can click on it and it's a filtered view.
But on the app, it's not there.
You can filter your view on the map, or on the app too.
Okay.
You see the little filter button at the top right corner?
You can just show me.
Okay.
So, okay.
But yes, you can filter your view on the app as well.
Okay. I just didn't see it, and I was like, how do I know which ones are already on there? So,
There's a button.
There's a button for that.
okay, perfect.
Okay. The next one, tomorrow, and we will not have rain, just want to put it out there first, that this event is going to happen tomorrow night. We will have rain starting tonight through about noon, but then it's going to clear up and be perfect for this event. So we're doing our Christmas tree lighting ceremony tomorrow at it's going to start at 6 p.m. And we're going to have sing-along with our SOAC staff. We might have some special guests show up, Santa and Mrs. Claus. And we'll do our tree lighting ceremony. So looking forward to this one. You get to get some pictures with Santa Claus. And we're going to have any food trucks out there or anything like that? Yep.
There'll be a coffee and hot chocolate truck, and then kind of a food truck, and then hopefully some of the businesses be open as well.
Awesome. Perfect. So looking forward to that one tomorrow night to kick off the holiday season. And then lastly, as mentioned, we did have a legislative breakfast here. What's today? This was last week then. This was last Thursday. Excellent opportunity. Just want to thank all of our state delegation for showing up. I think we had all of them there. And just some really good dialogue that we got to have about some key issues that could impact us at the state level. So we talked about infrastructure projects, spent a lot of time talking about the I-24 Choice Lane project, and really made some headway. Already, we've had Representative Stevens submit a letter on our behalf, and we'll have some additional follow-up for you as well. Tennessee Municipal League, by the time we had this meeting, did not have their legislative agenda issued, but I will provide that to you. They had a webinar today on some of the key issues. A lot of it was repetitive from last year, but I'll make sure that gets into your next weekly packet. But great event, and I appreciate the council's participation in that. Also, Town Hall will be closed for Thanksgiving. That will be this Thursday and Friday. So, again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Jeffrey L.
I do want to announce that I did receive the judge's order for dismissing the DRAPAC litigation, so that's filed away.
That was after our vote at
That's
the
correct.
meeting. Good. Okay. Jerome?
Yes, I have a slide. As the leaves start to fall, please remember to place your leaves in a biodegradable bag. Leaf line bag, and place the bags next to the street for pickup. Leaf pickup will occur on the regular brush route. Please remember, we are unable to pick up plastic bags. So I guess the plastic bags will be left at the curbside. So, yes, and I agree with Dave that the legislative breakfast, I felt like it was very positive, had a lot of good dialogue with their delegation, and just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Great. Raquel?
Okay. I have a slide as well. So, in pursuit of earning his citizenship in the Community Merit Badge, Boy Scout Max Shaver attended the Charity Assistance Fund Board meeting last Tuesday evening. During the session, he observed the board's operations firsthand, including the review of funding applications and presentations from various nonprofit organizations seeking support from the town's Charity Assistance, town's Charity Assistance Fund. So that is the entire board, and we were able to take a picture with him and his mom, and they did stay for the entire meeting and saw how the whole process works. And my only other thing is to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Great. HG?
In the last week, there've been 3 deaths that were, I guess, well, I hate when people pass away, but in some hand, it's always better that they've gone along and gone to be with their maker. But they were both, all 3 very good friends of mine over the years, and it's kind of tough to let go. Danny Brown passed away. He's a local fellow, been here for many, many years, and I just have condolences to the Brown family. Leanne Smith passed away. If anybody remembers the Totally Video, Leanne's family ran Totally Video, and her mother was one of the Rock Springs Road Blairs, was our neighbor when we lived on Rock Springs right out there. But Leanne was a sweet girl, and then Deborah Brandon passed away also. Deborah was Johnny Brandon's wife, and I can remember Mary Esther going to the Methodist church with her when we were small children. But say some prayers for those families, please. Okay, we have Small Business Saturday. Thanksgiving's on Thursday. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. And so we know that Black Friday follows Thanksgiving. And then on Saturday, Small Business Saturday. Keep your money here in Smyrna, shop local. Take the opportunity on Saturday, November 29th, to shop local in celebration of Small Business Saturday. Small businesses are the backbone of our retail community, contributing to the unique character and vitality of our town. They represent 68% of our entire business community, and their success strengthens our local economy, supports local jobs, and enhances the quality of life we all enjoy. We encourage everyone to show their support by visiting your favorite local shops, exploring new ones, and taking part in a day dedicated to the entrepreneurs who help make our community thrive. Having been a small businessman for all of my life, really, this one is near and dear to me. I would encourage you, if you would explore the SIMATN.org, which is the Smyrna Independent Merchants Association, and they will give you some pointers to where they are. We also, with the holiday season coming up, always keep your trash contained where it should be. Love where you live. Help keep Smyrna litter free. So, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. That's all I've got for tonight.
Great. Jerry?
Okay, had a slide. Yeah, there we go. Last week I had the privilege to go over to Rocky Fork Elementary School and be one of the judges in the Amazing Shake. I've done this several years, and I really enjoy it. It's just, we talk about the younger generation, but you know what? And we're going to be okay. Those kids are they're pretty sharp, and it was just an honor to be over there, and really did enjoy it. So. Thank you to Rocky Fork for the invitation. And just happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Great. Steve?
I have a slide. Earlier, I guess late last week, right before the legislative breakfast, Mark and, Mark, were you there? No. Jerome, Mary Esther, myself, and Raquel.
The guy looks a lot like me.
Yeah, he does kind of look like him a little bit. That's Paul Latour. We were there for the 20th celebration of the YMCA in Smyrna. They had us there for before breakfast, or business before hours with the chamber. It was a pretty nice event, pretty good group of people. There was at least one charter member there. Jenny Williams was there with her original 20-year-old YMCA shirt. But we got to hear from, in the bottom left picture, the girl sitting in the wheelchair there. She talked to us about what the Y meant to her, and it was pretty moving to see how the Y was helping her through rehab and through some of the treatments that she needed. So thanks for what the Y does. It's Mary Esther said it when she spoke. It's not really a hidden gem. It's a gym that's kind of right there out in the open, and we're glad to have it. So if you're not a member of the Y, they always are taking members. Also, we had a friend of mine and his wife, Jeff Morris, and his wife Beth, who's a town employee, lost her mother, I think maybe 10 days ago, Margaret Smith. I think she was 81, I believe. But to the Morris family, condolences in the loss of Miss Smith. And happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with family. Enjoy your time off, and spend money on Friday locally. That's it.
Yeah, I had Beth's family on my list too, so condolences to Beth back in finance there. She's been with the town a long, long time and lost her mom, so I want to make sure we pointed that out, so thank you for bringing that up. I have a couple of slides. Is that recreate or recreate?
Yes.
Okay. So, the Smyrna Parks and Recreation Department is updating the Parks Master Plan, which will serve as our roadmap for the next 5 years. This plan will guide decisions on recreational opportunities, athletic programs, and future facility improvements throughout the community. You're invited to share your thoughts and ideas to help better understand Smyrna's recreational needs and priorities. Your input will play a vital role in shaping the future of our parks and recreation system. Take a few minutes to complete the community survey and make your voice heard. Scan the QR code or click the quick survey icon. It says below to get started, but I don't see it on there. So www.surveymmonkey.com/r/town of Smyrna. So that's a quick way to do it and include yourself in part of the growth of our wonderful park system. Second one I have is the food drive, collecting non-perishable food items to support the Nourish Food Bank. Donations can be dropped off at Town Hall between Monday and Friday between 8 and 4 o'clock, 4 p.m., because Amber and Casey want to go home at 4:30. Along with the Christmas parade en route, they'll be collecting canned goods at that same time as well. So the food drive right now is such a need, such an important thing in our town. A lot of people, prices and so forth, that are just, they're just not doing well, and they need help. So if you can find your way, I know we have a little bit of a contest going on here at the town to try to help raise that. I'm not going to get into that because Mayor's already stole one of my clients, but I'm just kidding.
Don't be a sore loser.
I'm just kidding. I do want to say happy birthday to my little grandson Ledger. He is my little protege. He's crazy as I am, and carry the torch, little brother. He's great. So I do want to point out that a couple of you have already mentioned, I saw the letter today that Representative Stevens crafted to TDOT, to Will Reed, who's the commissioner at TDOT. It's a great letter, and I appreciate the input we got and the quick response that we got from him to craft that letter and get it sent over to TDOT. Because that legislative meeting, I agree, Dave, that legislative meeting we had last week, I think carries a lot of value. We had all of our local state representatives and our state senators there to just kind of crack some eggs over breakfast and talk about some of the needs the town has. And so I really appreciate their attendance and their input. It's a good meeting. Lastly, it is Thanksgiving. I always like to look at Thanksgiving as a time for gratitude. In a world that we have so much going on, we have so much social media that can be positive and or negative. It's funny to me how people can just whine and complain about things that are really minute. They're small. But forget to look in the mirror and realize what they have and the gift that they have sitting right in front of them. So try to be grateful, try to lose the negativity, try to love on each other, and have a happy Thanksgiving with your family. God bless you.
Couple of items. First of all, I want to say thank you to Thurman Francis Arts Academy. I was asked to be the Grand Marshal for the Gobble Gobble Gala Parade.
Say that again.
The Gobble Gobble Gala Parade. And the students were actually studying about push, pull, and friction in science, and they read the book Millie and the Thanksgiving Parade, and this was second graders, constructed floats using their science knowledge. And it was the coolest thing, because you see, it was pajama day, but they're all pulling their floats, you can see, but the entire school got out and lined the hallways and cheered those kids on as we walked the entire school. They had the band at the front playing, and then the kids, and Santa was at the end, and you can see that's the principal, Mr. Gagne. And he was on his Segway. So it was a great experience, and the kids were so excited.
And your sash says what?
And my sash says Grand Marshal.
Okay.
Grand Marshal, so
Does it say
yes.
Gobble Gobble Grand
Doesn't
Marshal?
say Gobble Gobble Grand Marshal. Thank you to the Rutherford County diplomats for coming down last week, I think it was last week, to visit early morning. And this time we talked a little bit about our Parks Department and the facilities that we have and the facilities we have to rent. And Santa came to visit, and Santa was calling some people out in the audience. So, but we appreciate everything that those diplomats do for us. Want to talk about the United Way donation. I am so proud of our United Way team here at the town of Smyrna. that's made up of employees and what our employees do to give back to our community. This year, our Town of Smyrna employees and that committee raised over $100,000 to give back to the United Way that's going to help citizens right here in our own community. So thank you to our employees for what you do to make that happen. Save the date. Our parade will be Sunday, December 7th, 2 p.m. It's our 50th annual Christmas parade. It'll be on Lowry Street going all the way down Lowry. Jerome, you saw last year, you have to conserve that candy all the way to the end because they are, all the way down. So, but we hope you'll.
bring more.
Or bring more, yeah. But we are excited about the number of entries. Right now, we have, how many? 106 entries now. So, please don't forget your non-perishable food items. We'll have somebody to pick those up along the way. I talked about business before hours. We talked about Beth Morris and her family and Danny Brown. I'd also like to say at our Parks and Rec meeting, we selected Michael Fain for the Kenneth Coon Victory Lifetime Achievement Award. Michael works with football, but had worked with baseball in the past. He was with the National Guard, so very deserving. And Kaylee Herndon is going to be our young leader. You'll get to see them on the floats in the parade, and our event will be in February to recognize them. Two things for council. One thing for council. Will you please check your calendars for January 13th at 4 p.m.? That is prior to our January council meeting. I'd like to do Dave's mid-year review then, if that's possible.
I'm good.
Good? Is everybody good? 4 o'clock on 13th? Okay, Jeff Craig will get the stuff sent out. If you could try to have that finished up by the end of December so Jeff can tabulate everything so we can get that to Dave, that would be great.
Mayor, if I'm supposed to be at that, I will be at I think it's my last class for CPM.
So you're not going to be here that night?
So I will not, I will be here by the time we have the meeting, but I'm not sure if I'll be back by 4 p.m.
Okay. Jeff, what was the meeting? We also meet that week before that for the workshop, which will be the what? The 6th. Would the 6th work for you all?
That's workshop.
That's workshop. 6 at 4 o'clock?
I don't know, give me a minute.
I did put a sister city funding, but we can bump that back.
Okay.
Does that work for Dave?
Yeah, that works
So
for
we're
me.
good?
Does that work for you, Dave?
Good?
It's just kidding.
Okay. So the 6th, but that means that what?
I was just thinking, you're making this review a lot easier.
Just remember though, please try to make sure by the end of December you get Jeff all the information so we can get it all together. Second thing is just a question. We are getting hammered, two things. We're getting hammered about the speed limit on Jefferson, and I know we've talked about that. When is that change going to be made so that it's consistent all the way from Sam? Anybody want to talk?
I know we had to get a study done, so I'm not sure what the result of that is before we make that change. If there's an update that staff can provide me.
I thought it was an internal staff study. Was that what it was required?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did go out and do a speed study. We completed that and got the results back, but there's some other software that TDOT uses on state roads to be able to determine if you can drop the speed limit or change the speed limit on roadways, because this one's a little more complicated with bike lanes and sidewalks right next to it and being curb section. So I'm waiting on the consultant. The consultant has all the data that we collected, and he's got the software ready to go. I'm just waiting on him to provide the proposal to us. As soon as he does, I'll have Dave sign that and get it back to him, and then I would think in the next couple of weeks, should be able to get all that put together and ask him again for it. I know he's written the proposal, it's in for internal review, and then as soon as I get that, I'll get Dave to sign it, but it should be a pretty quick process once that's done.
What you got on it, Tom? And thank you and Charles and Dave. I know we've been emailing one another a little bit just to try to keep citizens updated. What's your gut on that?
Well, I don't want to give false,
No.
I don't want to give false
I
information.
know you can't
out
speak
there.
for TDOT. I spoke to a gentleman named Jay Klein at TDOT this week and just asked him a few questions. Actually, Representative Sparks kind of helped me get in touch with him. And some of the questions I asked him, I've now gotten some answers to. And Charles, you emailed me or did something, you updated me on the curb and gutter side of things. I appreciate that. But, to her point, it's a huge subject out that way. Right. And I hope
They're
we
making
can-
memes about it now.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen them?
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's up to 45 miles an hour when you have curb and gutter and bike lanes, is that correct?
Yes.
And so that's going to be our goal, but again, we have to just make sure that it's
So once you sign
supported.
the letter, then it goes to TDOT for approval?
No, they don't have to approve it. I've already talked to TDOT, and we don't need the permission to change the speed limit out there, but it'd be best for us to follow their same criteria on evaluating speed
Good.
limits.
So it doesn't have to go through them. So
Correct.
Perfect. Okay. That should make it a little bit faster.
Oh, yes.
So we just need to get on our consultant.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
Do it right now.
him?
Not right now.
My suggestion was if we are, I think we should be able to speed him up.
Literally speaking.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
It's not often we try
The
to
second
find it.
thing I would like to do is, I just would like to speak to the public. I understand all of these orange barrels around town you're frustrated with, but you're also telling us you want to see road improvements. We can't do road improvements without having the orange barrels and doing construction. So I just ask that you be patient with us. I know it's frustrating to sit in the traffic. We're doing everything we can to help during that process, whether it's with lights or, but we also have to do it safely. So I just want you to know we're doing everything possible to get you easier traffic flow around town, but there is headache that comes with that in regards to the construction process. The other thing that I want to thank Dave and staff for doing, thank you for doing the PSAs. I think the more that we can educate the citizens on what's taking place, they may not like it, but at least they know what's going on. So thank y'all for doing that.
One thing I'll add to that, and I told Dave this earlier this week, I sent him a picture of, I don't know, 30 or 40 cars lined up and just kind of my frustration. And basically the response I sent back to him was, I'm just going to avoid it. And so some of the construction, intersection of Rock Springs and Old Nashville Highway, the intersection of Lowry and Sam Ridley, if you can find alternative ways around, that's going to help you. It may take you a little bit longer mileage-wise, but it'll probably take you less time traffic-wise. So I've started, instead of going to I-24 on Sam Ridley, I'm going to I-24 on Allenville Road. Or I'm trying to alter my time so that I'm not going during the busiest part of the day. So anything you can do to help make it easier, just think about that and consider it, at least for the short term, to try to make it easier on everybody.
And one of the questions that has come up, to your point, Mayor, is the, talking about all the orange barrels all at one time. And I've heard people say, man, you got a lot going on at one time. Why did you guys wait and do it all at one time? A lot of this is out of the city's hands. A lot of this has a lot to do with the state, engineering, studies, all those things. And sometimes they just culminate together. That's what some of this is. But to your point, there's going to be a lot better infrastructure in those spots when it's done. It takes a lot of patience. We talked about the double left-hand turns a while ago, going on to Jefferson Pike, coming from the bowling alley onto Jefferson Pike. That's long needed. I'm glad to see it's now in engineering, and That too will, when they start to do that, it's, it's going to be a little bit of a hot mess over there, but it'll make it a lot better. So just be patient with us.
Mayor, I do have a question on, maybe Kevin can answer this one. The market out at Seminary and Almaville Road that's being constructed, what's the time frame of the turn lane and all that? Because it seems like that works way behind what they're doing on the market.
My memory's correct, I think they have to have that, before we can give them the CO on the
Right.
market, they have to have the work done.
Have you heard anything, whether it's been submitted to TDOT and approved?
I haven't heard anything
Okay.
personally, I don't know if Charles or Tom may have, but I have not.
with the left turn on Allenville into it?
Yeah.
And there's a right turn decel lane.
And the right turn
Yeah, there's a
into
right
it,
turn
yeah.
lane and all that.
Well, they did change their one thing, that they're not going to allow the left turn lane on Allenville into the market, so they're just doing the right turn lane extension
Yeah.
only, so they did take that out of their design.
Well, do you know the progress of where that's at,
I
the right turn
know
lane?
we've gone through TDOT for their getting their permit ready, but I haven't heard any kind
Okay.
of deadline or dates when they were
Okay.
getting that in, but they have initiated that with TDOT for their permit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll
And
keep
then-
on that.
And then I
send it
think there
back.
was some other requirements from planning, once that market got open as well.
Yeah, there was some improvements at the red light and
Yeah, there were some timing changes at the lights and
Yeah.
some different things, yeah,
Stop sign.
yeah. And so all that, all that's, again, it's all, they can't get their CO till all that's
Okay.
done, so it's gonna be up to
they can have a
them.
beautiful building, but until they get that done,
Right.
they're not opening.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? If nothing else, we are adjourned.